Hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to continue with the lecture going on and talking about some other things that we haven't learned. So at this point, we're talking about some null values and some double quotes, which is very similar to stuff that we already covered. But I wanted to get into, at this point we know what the common arithmetic operators are. These are your numeric expressions. Excuse me. Just kind of scrolling through here and want to hit the focus on the other things I want to focus on. Not too concerned about that right now. Well, so isset is interesting. It's a function that checks the variables, whether it's true or false, kind of like a Boolean expression. And then is numeric is a way to validate whether a value is a string or not a string, or is a numeric value. But I wanted to focus on conditional statements. So we've seen this in Introduction to Programming. It's the same thing, different language. Only difference is, you have a $sign in front of your variable, but other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to build another app, and save it. And this app is going to be a front end, very similar to other stuff. It's going to have some CSS built into it and so forth. So what we ultimately want to do is we want to, and I could actually show you an example of what we're going to build before we build it so you can see it. So let me find my browser. It's around here somewhere. Yep, there it is. So we know that that's our first PHP page. So let me get the URL and I'll show you what we're looking to do. All right, so let's copy this. So we're looking to do something like this, winery discount. So you've got product description. So let's say it's let's say Malbec 2020 aged wine. Okay, and what's the list price for that? I'm going to say it's going to be $23.99, and we're going to give a discount based off of, and let's say that you bought a case, and we're going to do the discount per bottle. So we'll say per bottle is, we'll just say 3%. 3.5%. Let's just say it's usually 6 to 12%, so we'll say 6%. So it calculates it and it provides the list price, the percentage, the discount amount, and it's $22.55, sales tax rate, etc. So that's what we're trying to do, and this is what I mean about providing a theme of what you're working on. So that's what we want to ultimately build within this code. So, first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to create our shell. So I'm going to create a page called, I don't think I have an index page here, so I'm going to call, I do have an index. So I will call it main.php. And under that, usually I should create another subfolder for this, for M2. But just going to keep it like this. Then under main.php, I am going to have another output for the discount. So I'll say, you know what? Now I think about it, let's create a folder. So let's do this folder, and we will call it winery. That's it. And then what we'll do is we'll move that main under winery, and we will create a an output. So we'll call it output. Well, we won't want to call it output.php. We'll just say wine discount.php. Okay, so wine discount, we have our main page, and then we need a CSS page. So we need to main.css. Perfect. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to build out the CSS first, because there's a lot of stuff that we can just kind of start with. I'll move this up a little bit. so that make sure we can see it. All right, so we'll start off with a, oops, wrong one, body. And we'll start off with a font family. So this should be just, you know, basically a refresh of stuff you did before. We'll just choose this one here. You can choose any one that you like. You have to choose the same thing. And then I'll do a main. Oops. Yep. And we'll say display. And we'll block. And then we'll do the width. And we'll just start off with something. If we need to change it, we'll change it. I'm just doing basics. Our margin will be 0 and auto. And then padding will be 20px and 20px. And our background, we'll just choose white. Perfect. And our border, px, solid. And then we'll, do we want to do navy? Do we want to do orange? Let's just do orange and see what that looks like. All right. Now our headings, we'll do margin top. I'll start 0. Whoops. Oh geez. There we go. And then we'll have color. And I'm gonna stick with the orange if I can. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we'll see. We might have to change it. Because sometimes orange can be not too flashy. It's one of my favorite colors. The width is gonna be 10 EM. And then our padding right. See, a lot of this stuff is just IntelliSense. We'll do 1 EM. And our float will be to the left. Perfect. All right, almost there. Now we're going to do our data input. Oh my God. Float is left. Sorry, this thing like is very. I hit one wrong spelling. Our width is 15, and then our margin should be half an inch. So our margin, and a lot of this stuff is stuff that we just have to kind of like. The first time I wrote this, I didn't write it this way. You know, I just kind of did a trial and error. Let's see what worked. Now we have data input. We need to do our data spam. So let's. There we go. And we will do padding left, 0.25, PM, buttons, input, and we'll do a float, left, and then we'll do a margin bottom. And we'll make it ½ inch. And we'll do a breaking point here. We'll do a clear left. And lastly, we need to have an error message in case an error pops up. So if we figure out there's an error, we'll say color red, obviously. And then we'll do font weight. We want to make sure it's bold. That way it stands out. Perfect. So just recap, we just did our main, our body, our heading 1. We could add stuff later on. I'm just going to save that. Perfect. All right, so that's a start. So now we need to build our index PHP. We need to do our coding on the back end as well. So we're going to build out the coding part of it first. So let's start with our index.php. Well, our main, we called it. And we'll say PHP, and then we'll do this. We'll come back up there, so we'll do HTML. Actually, let's see if I can pull apart like this. So if I do doc type HTML, there's a way to do it. I can't remember how to do it. All this pops up for you. Anyways, I'll just do it the other way. Heading, title, I'll just call it my winery discounts. There we go. So now we want to link up our CSS, so we'll do a link. And a lot of this stuff should be all a refresher. And then our type equals text.css. And then our reference is .css. And we'll end the heading. Perfect. There we go. So now that ends the coding there. We now need a body. Not literally. All right. And now we need to set up our main section and our heading, and I'll call it winery discount. Let's call that, and then H1. Now we need a PHP thing here, so we'll say PHP, and then we'll do a conditional statement. We'll say if the value that we're the text box that we're going to use, we'll say if it's empty, so something's empty. So this is like an error check. We'll say error message. Like that. And we'll do this. So it's like a little PHP check that you could do within your code. So we're saying that, hey, if the anything on this page is empty, we throw an error message, we trigger it. Let's see, double quotes, okay. Then we'll do down here, so let me close this so it doesn't look messy. So I'll put this in PHP, and this is more of my end if statement. And inside here, I'll put a P class. So, because this is the difference when we're working with HTML and PHP code together. We'll say error message, and we'll say PHP echo error message, like that, and it should pop out that red stuff that we want. And there we go. That's what we want. So that way, if it throws out an error message. If you have questions on this, send me a message, and we could go over it. Or set up an invite for a meeting. All right, so now we need to have our form. So we'll say form action equals where do we want to go to? So we have this wine discount page. So that's where we want it to go to. .php. And then method is a post. We want to send a post message instead of a get message because we're sending stuff over there. We're going to do a div tag equals our data tag that we have in place, and that's on our over here. I think we have data somewhere. Where's that? Yeah. So it's going to grab that information. Oops. Now we're going to set up our div tag. So we have div here, and we're going to say, and some of this we're going to copy and paste because I don't want to type the same stuff over and over. So we're going to say label, and we'll say product description label. Okay. Oops. And then we're going to do an input. What I'm going to do is I'll move this over here. So I have some real estate. I'm going to say input type. And what type are we going to deal with? We're going to use a text base. Name equals product description. and we need to have a value down there. So we'll say value equals PHP echo, and then we're going to do HTML special characters. So we're going to choose this right here. And the reason we're doing this is because when you're, it's like any other language, when you're trying to write HTML and then put a programming language inside there, you have to kind of use special characters or special ways in order to push your code out there properly, so you can kind of consolidate the two environments. It's kind of tricky. So we don't know what our things are going to be yet, so I'll just say it's called product. So we want to list our description, and we could change this later on. This will be a name of a variable that we'll use on the next page that we create. And then we'll do this, and then we'll do a BR like this. And then we do repeat the same thing. So what we're doing here is we have a label, we have an input, and then we have a value saying that, hey, we're using a special character, and it's going to use whatever, that's going to be the ID of that value. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to copy this code here. Yep. And I'm going to hit enter and come down here. And I'm actually, what I'm going to do differently here is I'm going to put a comment here. So I'll say this is my, this one right here will be my list price. And then I'll put like that. So that way it has a comment there. And I'm going to do the same here. And this one will be my product description. Oops. Now, obviously, I have to change the code around here because all that code is not the same. So I'll do the same thing here. And this last one will be discount percentage. Perfect. All right, so now we have to change this right here. So we'll call it our list price. And the value will be different. So we'll call it list price. And we'll call it list price here. Perfect. And then down here will be the same thing. So we'll call it our discount. Our discount. We'll just say discount. And this one right here will be discount percent. And then same thing here. I'm going to copy that and paste it down here because that's the value we use. Same thing. Boom. So let's save this. We're not done yet. But let's save it. Now we don't need a BR down here because this is the last part of it. So what we're going to do differently is take that off there. And we're going to come down here and we're going to type in span percentage. Oops. And then we're going to do a span. And now we're going to do a BR here, since it's the end of the page. And we have to end our div tag, which we didn't do already. So that ends our div tag. So now we have that information out. So now we just need to end our tags. So, oops. And so we need to end our form right here. See how it's kind of lined up. We're ending our form. We need to end our main, see how everything's lined up. This is perfect, actually. Oh my God. There we go. Oops. And then we already ended our body and HTML. So body, actually, if it lines up right, it's there. Actually, it's there. Main is there. Okay, cool. Perfect. So let's save that. Well, let's see if it even pops up right. So we're just going to do, I think we called it M2, and we called it, let's do this, winery, okay. And then main PHP, okay. Winery, main.php. All right, perfect. Now the orange is not flashy, but it looks good for Halloween, I guess. So now we have product description, we have our list price. So now we have all this information here. So that's perfect. So now what we need to do is program the next page so that when we pass these values over, it can pick it up, okay? Oh man, am I not recording? Yeah. I was recording. I just thought I was talking and wasn't recording because I've did that before. All right. Next thing that we need to do is we need to push this code somewhere. Okay, so at this point we have, we're missing some other pieces to it. One of the things is if we grab the code, we need to be able to process it. So one of the things I just realized that we're missing is we don't have any code at the top up here. All right, so we need to code this part first. So we need to set the default values. So here's what we'll do. We'll say if, remember the word isset, I-S-S-E-T, which basically means is it not there or not. So we'll say, we'll take product description, and we'll go here, and then we'll put in that value. We'll say if it is not blank, product description, like that, equals blank blank, tick tick, semicolon, boom. Let's see here, let's move this out a little bit. All right, cool. So now we're going to copy and paste that a couple of times because we have 3 values. Boom, boom, and so the ones that we have are list price. Boom, and we can check this right here. Boom, and then we're also going to do discount percent, and we'll do discount percent again. So all we're doing is validating whether it's anything there or not. All right, so let's hit yes, or save, I mean. So now let's move over to our second page, which is the page that we want to push to. This one's going to be a lot of coding, I promise you. Oh man, it's just the thought of it. All right, so start off with our PHP here. And so the first thing we need to do is, we need to code our PHP. So let's enter our tag here. Let's do we'll start with that last. We'll do our HTML. We'll do it as we can do it. Let's put it that way. Our heading. Okay. And we'll do our title. And we'll just say, winery discount. And we'll do our link. So link up our code. You know what I should do is, let's make life easy. Let's do this. I should do this in the first place. I should just did that right there. Our heading. That way we already got it linked up. All right, cool. And then we'll do our body. I'm trying to think if it has the same thing as before. Let me see. We might be able to use the same stuff here. No, because we're doing a little different way. All right. Just double checking. So, all right, body. And then we're going to do our main. And then we're going to do our heading. And I'll just say, our discount. I'll say performance. I just want our discount, it's fine. Putting 1. And then we're going to start our labels out. So this will be able to copy and paste once we do one time. So we need a product description. Yep. Okay. And then we need to span and then do PHP echo special characters like we did before. And we'll do percentage, product description. It's not coming up because we don't have it listed on here. So we just have to put it in here. And we'll do ending, and then we'll do our span, and then we'll do our BR. Okay. All right, so we need to do the same thing for several different things. So, because we're having several different calculations. But before we do that, let's actually put some code up here and then we'll come back to that. Because it'll make sense once we add some values up here. So, oops, there we go. So we need to get the data from the form. So what we'll do is we'll do product description equals, and we'll do a filter input. So we'll filter on the input because it's a going back. We're using input, so we're using an input type text. Oh, okay, I lost my train of thought. All right, so we'll do input post, and then we'll do product description. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on list price. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy, paste, and paste again, but this time it will be list price, and below this will be discount percent. And then same thing here, we're just gonna put the name here. Input post is the list price. And down here is gonna be discount percent. A little bit different output here. So up to the list price, we're also gonna do, after that, we're gonna do a comma. And we're gonna do filter, validate, float. So that's what we wanna do, filter validation. And then same thing here on the percentage. We want to filter, validate, int. And what we're doing here is we're validating whether, we're gonna check to see if, like, someone puts a string value in, we want to check to make sure that it is an integer versus a string. So we want to validate the wrong characters are not being entered, and so it's just a validation, and we're just using a function. Just like that. Cool. All right, so now validate the data. And so what we're doing here is we're setting the error message. So this will be the error message, and we'll set it to nothing. So it's a baseline. So think of it as a baseline value. And then we say if empty, and then we want to pass in the product description. We're saying, hey, is the product description empty? True or false? And then we're going to say, if it is true, we're going to say error message. And we're going to say error message dot equals, and we'll say, I don't know, product description is a required field. Just like that. Boom. So that's the first check. Then we do another validation. We say we want to validate, that was the data right there. So now we want to validate the list price. Okay. So we could say if list price equals false, then we can say error message again equals list price must be a valid field, valid number. Like that. Then we could do an else here. We could say else if list price is less than or equal to 0. Then we can throw another message here. So let's copy and paste this. Copy, paste, and we could say list price must be greater than 0. So we're saying, hey, if it's equals that, we need to be greater than 0 at least, or equal to it. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy this code here, copy it, perfect. We're now gonna say validate discount percent. Same scenario, but we're gonna do discount percent. We're gonna do error message. We're gonna say discount percent must be a valid whole number. And then we say else if the discount price, just type in here, is less than or equals 0. And then we say that the discount percent must be greater than 0. So all we're setting up is validations. That's all we're doing is validations and providing ways to do error checks. Okay. Now we want to have another error message. We'll say if the error message it doesn't equal, then include. We want to include the main PHP. That's the main page. And then we want to exit the program and close it. So if the error message doesn't equal that, then we want to close it. Other thing is we need to we need to calculate the discount. We need to calculate the sales tax, total, and apply a formatting thing as well. So there's a lot of coding left still. So let's save this before we lose our steps and see where we're at on time. I have an error message here. So what's happening here is I didn't close this out. I need to close that off. I think that's it. So unexpected else. All right, so we say if list price equals false, then we do an error message, and then we do this else if list price is less than or equal to 0, and then we have this here, and then we have error message. Still doesn't like it though. Well, that's right. I'm not sure why it's. Let me close this out, save it, go back into it and see if it picks it up. Alright, seems to be fine now. Alright. Now we need to calculate the discount. And so what we could do here is we could say discount equals list price times the discount percentage, and then times 0.01. You could also say discount price equals the list price minus the discount, minus the value that we just got. And then we need to calculate the sales tax. So calculating the sales tax, we need to define a constant. So define, remember we talked about define, and we'll say sales tax %, and we'll do 8 is our value, and then we'll say sales tax equals discount price times the sales %. So I'm just going to copy this times decimal point 1. Boom. Then identify sales total. Then we can say the sales total equals discount price plus the sales tax. Then you need to provide formatting, which I'm actually going to copy and paste the formatting because it's too much to type out. I'll explain what it is. So all right, formatting. There we go. So we have our list price formatted, a $sign in front of the format list price. So we're just adding percentage and decimal points in certain areas. So we're doing all this information so that we have everything in place. Save that so we don't lose it. All right, so now we need to finish putting our information here. I'm gonna move this over, provide real estate. So we need something for we have our product description here. We need something for our list price and so forth. So let's copy code here. Oops. We need our list price. And it'll be a list price. There we go. We need same for standard. So once again, I am going to, I should say list price formatted. Where's that at up here? Yeah, so it's this one here because we want to grab this one because we don't pull from it and use that functionality. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy and paste the rest of this, which is the same thing that we just did. All right, and we should have a main. And we should have a body. And we should have end of our HTML. All right, there we go. And save it. No, I don't know if we missed anything, but for the most part, it should be straightforward, or should be there. So let's refresh it. Winery, we'll just say this will be Merlot. This price is $23.99. Discount is 2%. Fine. What are we missing? Oh, we're missing an input button. Beautiful. I don't know how many times I forget that input button. So let's go back to the main PHP here. We have input percentage down here. We have our tag closed out. So what we need to do here is we need a div ID equals buttons. So it's going to grab the value from buttons. And we need to do a label. MBSP is a space. So and then we need an input type. equals submit, so we want to submit it. And value equals calculate. I think that should be it. Save it. Alright, now we got a button. Alright, so Merlot 23.99, we'll say 2%. And there you go. Winery discount, here's your description, your price, your 2%, your discount amount, your percentage rate, etc. So you're gonna do something similar in your project, but it won't be exactly the same. We learn how to do discounts. You'll be doing something maybe a little bit different for your assignment. But for the most part, this concludes this video for Module 2 Lab. This is the second part of the lab. So just to refresh, we learned some basics about PHP. We learned how to pass and get variables from screen to screen. We learned how to set up variables and do some calculations and provide values that are processed over there. So thanks for watching. Reach out to me if you have any questions.